So welcome everybody to the second hour of Mindshifters Radio, and today is Thanksgiving Day, and it is November 23rd, 2023. Our call-in number is 563-999-3581, and press 1, and that puts you into queue. Today is our day of Thanksgiving, the day of gratitude. Hopefully everybody is grateful 365. But today is the day we celebrate that. And as soon as Michael gets connected, we will begin our show. And we hope that if you're with us today, that you will press 1 and you will share with us what you were grateful for. And he's dialing in, so we'll give him just a minute. And we're glad that you are with us today. We hope that you have a blessed time with family, if you're going to be with family. And if you are alone on this Thanksgiving Day physically, know that you are not alone. We are with you, and we hold the space for everyone to have a good day today and every day. And as soon as he dials in, okay, I am going to start off reading something that I wrote, and I read it every year, except I edit it according to changes that have taken place during the year. So, another year of challenge and change, and yet grateful for so much. Dad passed away in March. He translated into spirit right before our eyes, and I am thankful I was witness to that moment. He's now healthy and at peace after so long in a physical body and mind that could not cooperate with what he would have wanted. We have chosen to remain in Bristol, sharing in the care of our granddaughter, Arya, for the past 5 years. She has been an awesome teacher, and we are continuing to learn from her as well. We continue with our vegetable gardening and starting our pollinator garden this year, and that has gone really well. Michael's been working tremendously hard getting it ready for the winter, and I'm thankful we have enough of everything we need, and thankful we have been protected and taken care of and supported when things seem darkest. Thankful to feel the presence of love and know that all is okay and that we can walk on water in the midst of the storm. Even though I often want other things that I don't have, I am most grateful for what I have that sometimes I take for granted. I want to focus on the fact that I am thankful for Yahweh, God, and the love that he gave to the world, and for Yeshua, Jesus, the Christ, for showing the way. I am able to freely worship in spirit and truth and honor my Creator. Thank you, God. By the way, he is both my Savior and Lord, and there is a big difference between those two. I may not be wealthy, but I can pay my bills and I live comfortably, although simply, and many people cannot say that. I'm thankful for my abilities, for the jobs that I have had and the experiences and the growth, for the money I needed when I needed it, the ability to earn it instead of begging for a handout. While I attempt to be perfect, I do make mistakes, and I'm thankful for the gentle lessons given to me instead of a 2x4. The trials and challenges that give me the opportunity to forgive once more. I am thankful for my degree in psychology and that I was able to finish college in 2013, and thankful for what I learned as well as what I was able to share with my professors and fellow students. I am thankful for the potential that is mine. I am thankful for good air and sunshine, even the rain and snow, and clean water to drink and wholesome food to eat. I'm thankful for a bed to sleep in and a roof over my head. I am thankful for the ability to laugh, to feel safe and secure. I am thankful that I survived and learned from times when things were not so safe and secure. I am thankful for the time to see and do all the things that we do see and do. Time to share, time to love, time to be. I am thankful for the vehicles we have. Neither one of them is new, but they serve the purpose very well. I am glad I have a cell phone and computer. Even though electronics do present challenges, I am able to stay connected with those who I am away from more than I could without that technology. I'm thankful that we have been able to use this technology to do workshops and intensives virtually when things shut down due to COVID. We had to stop the travel and close up Heartland, and yet we can move forward. I am thankful for experiencing love within myself and from family and friends. It is the source that we move through on this planet and what sustains us in times of challenge. I'm thankful for the technology we have today that allows us to see all over this great planet and experience things that once were not even imagined. That includes television, internet, radio, telephones, computers, but also the technology of cars and trains and planes. The opportunities we have today are immense, and I am thankful for them, and for the shoulders we stand on, those who invented these things. I am glad I know how to read and write. These two skills have helped me move through my life more easily and have afforded me employment that otherwise I could not have gotten. I'm thankful for simple things in life, the crackle of a fire, a shooting star, the glow of the moon, the warmth of the sun, the smell of pine, the sound of laughter, the smile of a child, the beauty of the mountains and valleys, rolled hay sitting still in the field, newborn calves gaining their footing, the sunset, the sunrise, the rainbow which reminds us of God's promise, for sand on the ocean shore, the rolling waves and salty breeze, for the falling snow that covers the trees and ground, making all things beautiful and at peace. I appreciate people I meet. Once strangers become new friends and support, cherished ones become dearer each time we meet. I'm thankful for family reunions, get-togethers, holidays, camping, or simply shopping and chatting. While we did not do many of these things for a couple of years due to COVID, we stayed connected through FaceTime and calls and emails. Being able to express my thoughts and feelings freely, the liberty afforded this country, I am thankful for those, including my dad and brothers, who have been willing to take a stand for this country and the people in it. I wish for a time when people awaken to do something different than war. I'm thankful for laughter and tears, to express without words. And more than that, I have so many people who hear the unspoken that comes from my heart, and they genuinely care. I'm thankful that I am above ground one more day. I'm thankful for the morning and the night. Thankful for conveniences of running water and indoor toilets. Although I enjoy being at Grandma and Granddad's house when they didn't have these luxuries, I'm glad that I do. I'm glad I can so easily obtain groceries and gas, and that we have electric heat instead of having to build a fire. I am glad we have fireplaces and fire pits for pleasure, though. I love air conditioning in my home and car. I love to simply flip a switch and the room is illuminated in light. I'm thankful for the experiences at Grandma and Granddad's to learn how to milk cows, gather eggs, put up salted meat, turn butter, haul hay, grade tobacco, make molasses, harvest, and plant. Many of these skills will never be used again by me, but I am glad that I learned them. I am thankful for the gardens we have made here and the abundance of food that we have gotten from our labor and the earth. I am thankful for my mind and that it can think, remember, and figure and have discernment. I have both knowledge and wisdom. I am thankful that I have all five senses. I can see, hear, feel, taste, smell. I even have a sixth sense of intuition which alerts me when I pay attention to it. I'm thankful to hear a loved one's voice, to see their sweet face, to taste country cooking, to feel the touch of a hand or lips on mine, and to smell flowers in the spring. I'm thankful for traveling and seeing so many parts of the planet, and I'm thankful for home. I'm glad we have theaters, plays, bowling, skiing, hiking, biking, swimming, music, and so many other ways to entertain ourselves. I am thankful for the silent time when I can meditate and just be. I was blessed with phenomenal parents who gave me life. Mom
Breathing with you, sweetie. Breathing with you.
2017, and Dad went on March the 18th, 2023. I am thankful I had them as long as I did. I wished it had been longer, but they were ready to go. I have a son who is beyond words. He is my pride and joy. I have to change the page here. It won't let me see the whole thing. I have a son who is beyond words. He is the pride and joy of my life. He's the answer to my prayers. He's the presence of God made manifest. I was able to give birth and then have been able to watch him grow into a fine young man. I have a lovely daughter-in-law who loves me back and supports and loves my son. Together they have been wonderful friends, partners, and parents. Now I've been blessed with the most precious granddaughter, Arya. From the moment I laid eyes on her when she was just minutes on this planet, I felt my being expand. I'm thankful she's so perfect and healthy, and it's an added bonus that she is so beautiful and sweet. I'm blessed to keep her 2 to 3 days a week and be part of her growing, learning, and experiencing the love that she is, and her reflecting that back to me. I have a marvelous partner, Michael, who shares life with me. We met 20 years ago and celebrate being married 18 and a half years now. We have traveled together, do workshops and intensives together, and play together. He is presently supporting me so lovingly to the point of rearranging his work life in 2018 to stay here in Bristol to support Dad and Arya. Our romantic relationship is fulfilling, and he often takes my breath away only to give it back and remind me to breathe. He has 2 great children and their spouses and 3 beautiful granddaughters. One just arrived in 2022, who I am privileged to share a portion of their lives with. His family has embraced me. I wish we were closer geographically to spend more time with them. I have 2 other amazing stepsons that have been in my life for 45 years, and they call me Mom, even though I never asked them to. That's pure acceptance. Their mom has embraced me as well, and we are good friends. I have 2 beautiful step-grandchildren through them, too, and again, I wish we were closer geographically so as to spend more time with them. I was blessed with 3 fabulous brothers who call me Sis. They have awesome wives and kids, some of who also. God has truly blessed this entire family. My eldest brother, only 14 months older than me, passed away in 2020, giving us all a wake-up call of how precious our time here together is. He now dances with Mom and Dad and others who have gone on. I have friends and loved ones who I know I can call on anytime, and while we may not see each other that often, we remain close. I'm thankful for that caring. I have a lot of people in my life that I consider friends, but more than the number of friends, I have a great number of them who are close enough to hear my heart and hold me in love even when I'm in my stuff. They hear when there are no words spoken. They see me. I'm thankful for my health, which is good, and my body that serves me well more times than not. I am thankful that Michael knows this story. I am thankful that I'm not too difficult to look at. We met on eHarmony in 2003, and he asked me what I looked like because I hadn't posted a picture, and that was my response to him. I'm thankful for my physician and dentist and pharmacy that they are willing to listen and do something other than medication. They are really healers. I am thankful that there is modern means of doing surgery, etc., when necessary. I'm glad I have clothes to wear and shoes on my feet, a coat and gloves and boots in the winter, shorts and sandals in the summer. I'm glad my clothes are also stylish as well as functional. I'm thankful for the diversity in our world, the cultures that give color to the universe, all cells in one body. I am thankful for those who have taught me along the way, my grandparents, parents, teachers, preachers, spouses, siblings, children, grandchildren, friends, and acquaintances for their time and their energy. I am thankful I can dream. I am thankful for the innocence of children to remind me who I am. I'm thankful for today, our Thanksgiving Day, we will be spending with some of our family. I am thankful, all of me, Jeanie. And then there was, I get several daily devotional things. And one that came across today from Edgar Casey says, "Let this day of thanksgiving be not only that wherein to joy that which may satiate the body, that which may make for the gratifying of appetites of the body, but that day when each of you may give thanks to God for being alive, with opportunities to raise your voice in prayer, in praise, in thanksgiving for the love the Creator has shown, that the Creator showers upon you day by day." And now it is your turn, Michael.
Thank you, dear heart. And I'll add to all of that list my gratitude for your genius. So many things engaging in this work, from this show. It couldn't happen without you developing the app. And the awesome presence of your being in my life blesses me every day. Challenges me occasionally, but blesses me mostly. So deep appreciation to you, sweetheart.
Thank you.
Only very, very rarely do Jeanie and I ever challenge each other, right, honey?
It's not as often as
You're supposed to fit. No, it's not as often as it used to be. Definitely, our work has produced fruit of a lot of sweetness. So, breathing with you. It would have been a blessing if we'd have been able to be as close to your mom when she passed instead of being on the road as we were with your dad. As you talk about that, some of that residual grief moves.
Yeah. At least we, were with Mom. It was such a shock because it wasn't expected at all.
Yeah.
But with Dad, we had that preparation time and even able to give him the permission to go on when we knew that it was close.
So joining you in receiving those blessings and doing the best we can to pass our blessings on to the world. I, with you, I really wish that somehow we could bring my children and their families closer here, or we could pick our family up and move there, but there are just too many links in each place for that to happen. So we'll settle for and the time that we get and the vacations we spend together and the time we spend on the phone. We watched...
and I'm thankful that we have FaceTime because we can, when we talk with them, like we get to watch Kaylee Jo taking her first running through the house and her squealing at the excitement. And of course, Adeline and Avery fight over the phone so they can run through the house with it. That one sometimes is a little challenging to watch. But
yeah. But we're blessed. So extending that blessing in your direction if you're listening today, and we'd love to hear from you about what's blessing you. What are you appreciative of? What's Thanksgiving going to be for you? We spent the day yesterday making vegan gravy. We'll cook our corn fake turkey roast today and have about, I'm not even sure how many, 20 or so family members coming together around 3 o'clock to share the holy day. And invite everybody, while the culture breaks that word, kind of connects that word to holiday and makes it a time for, well, let's get drunk, let's, party, to remember that the solemnity, the aspect of really taking time to tap into and appreciate the blessings that we have and the abundance that we have. It's just monumental. Appreciation for those who were on this land before we came here. We just finished watching a series on Amazon called Jamestown, and how sad and unfortunate some of the insanity that was done to the Native Americans, and sadly continues to be done in the name of somebody filling their pockets, in the name of codependent need for the codependent need for power and control and domination and other people's stuff. Pretty bizarre, pretty crazy. So it was a good reminder to watch that series. It was a 3-year series. It was well done. Some powerful scenes in it, some powerful opportunities to bring things up and heal. But I certainly reach my appreciation back to those who were on this land when we Westerners came. Interesting that some of the Native American languages have many, many words that are identical to the Aramaic words, which leads me to believe, and this includes the Hawaiians, the Native Americans who I believe were probably what were called the lost tribes of Israel, the people who scattered around the earth. There are just too many words for it to be coincidence that this word exists in the Lakota Sioux language and exists in the Aramaic language and has the same meaning. So there's definitely a connectedness there, and I invite the blessings of those connections and also stand as the space for the healing of the energetic atrocities visited upon the Native Americans, the Hawaiians. We of course have to look at the Native American circumstance from an historical point of view, but many of us were alive when the American dominators criminally took over the state of Hawaii, or what is now the state of Hawaii, the people in the island. Pure greed, and that's in our lifetime. You don't have to wonder about history and whose story's correct. We were alive when it happened. So just holding the space, and that's one of the things I'm appreciative of, that through the teachings of this man Yeshua, I've learned what it is to hold the space for healing for myself, for those around me. And with practice, I find I get better and better and better at doing it. Not finished yet, still have places where I lose it, as pretty much everybody I know does, no matter how long the practice has gone on. And I'm appreciative of the fact that more and more people are tapping into this work, that are really choosing to be part of the critical mass. The physicist Yeshua 2,000 years ago said a little leavening leavens the whole loaf. And he was talking about not bread, but rather humanity, the literal healing process, and each person who steps over the line from moving from the universal one world religion of blame, where everything that's going on in their lives is somebody else's fault, into the state of responsibility and conscious creatorship. Each person that steps over that line becomes a vote for healing on the planet, for the eradication of insanity, and the healing of those who would perpetrate insanity on themselves and others. Because, of course, you can't perpetrate an insanity on on another without first putting that energy into your own field. So I'm very, very thankful for and grateful for the Aramaic teachings that we've been privileged to uncover, to have access to, and for every person, you, who have chosen to step into the space and use the tools that, on a daily basis or however often you do listen to this show, that you literally bring the energy of healing. And, when you realize that we live in an energetic world and we are energetic beings, that's more important than all the physical things that could ever be done, is to transfer that energy from one mind to another until we reach critical mass, and that's when it's going to shift the whole planet. That's the hope of it. So appreciative for each one of you. And we have did you have any thought there, sweetie?
I was just going to say, talking about healing the planet, Tippia is actually with us in the chat room, and I think she had some questions on healing.
Well, that's exactly where I was going next, was to say that I've been communicating with a young lady from Thailand. She's done our codependence work, and she had written about some challenges she was having with her brother, and was asking questions about healing and projection and what kind of process she can do to support him. We talked a little bit the other day about that, but just once again to be clear that, as a foundation point, first off, we're energetic beings. We are not physical beings. If we listen to Einstein says, on such things as matter, we have been all wrong. What we have heretofore called matter is energy whose vibrations have been so lowered as to be perceptible to the senses. There is no matter. So we don't live in a material world. So there's nothing permanent in what we call the material world. There's no condition that can't be changed if the energetic pattern behind it is changed. The energetic expression that Tippy had shared about her brother was that he was experiencing some of the symptoms of schizophrenia. And, basic understanding of that state of mind is that, a person has conflicting realities, conflicting output from their minds. And when you recognize that the output of the mind, perception, is always driven by goals, then recognizing this effect of conflicting realities is a result of conflicting goals. And so the place to move my offering would be, one, and we talked about this a little bit the other day because you were asking the question then, but we'll see if we can refine it for you, Tippia. One is, when we're not clear on our purpose, it's easy to fall into conflict with ourselves and others. And so the first order of business, the first thing I would do, if he's of a mindset where he's willing and able to do that, is to look at what his purpose is, to support him in touching into who he is as a human being and what his purpose is. And the fact that we live in a culture that brainwashes us into believing that we're designed to be good commercial servants, that we allow our minds to be filled with information about a particular set of skills, and then we go about using those skills to make money, pay taxes, and die. And recovery from that is a challenge to recognize who we really are as human beings, as the presence of love, and that each of us has a unique and individual way of expressing who we are. And as we talked about the other day briefly, the primary purpose is the same for everyone, to strengthen and solidify our awareness of ourselves as spiritual beings, and then to bring our minds into harmony with the purpose we hold as spiritual beings. We do have a worksheet on the website, which you might work with him on, getting him to tap into who he is, what he needs to work through, and the fact that he speaks Thai and not English. Perhaps if you translate that worksheet, if you working with him on it, you could send it back to us, and we'll post it on the website as well in Thai, along with the other work that you so wonderfully posted for us or translated for us. Once purpose is established, then to assist him in, to the degree that you can, understanding what goals do to his mind. And when he holds a goal that takes him off in one direction, and then he holds a goal that takes him in another, that he needs to determine which goals are in alignment with his purpose, with who he is, and be willing to remove the conflicting goals, to cancel those goals, to enter into that practice. And it's a practice that, as you know from the worksheets that you've done, that one has to engage in. And it's not something our culture tends to teach us. You know, the culture teaches us set goals, set goals, set goals, set goals, have your daily goal, your weekly goal, your monthly, your 5-year, your 10-year, your lifetime goal. And we say, don't do it. Have only goals for what you can accomplish in the next waking period. Cancel everything else. Get rid of it. Simply canceling the goals that drive his mind to produce conflicting realities, and it might take some time for him to develop that skill. You know, you could download the app, and I know you've translated some of the work into Thai. There is a game in the app called the Dragon Klingon game. I don't know if we have the text of that. I suspect that probably Jeanie has the text of that in a text document that perhaps you could send to Tipia, and maybe you could translate that into Thai and start to work with him. It's a simpler approach to the forgiveness process, specifically designed for kids, but the fact that he doesn't have English as his first language, translating that into Thai might be a good introduction to supporting him in understanding the impact of his goals and canceling goals that conflict with who he is, what his purpose is, what his place is in the world. That will alleviate a lot of stress from his mind. You know, the fact that you mentioned he's spending a lot of time meditating, that there's the Buddhist influence, which is very powerful, that Buddhist influence of moving in the direction of compassion and using meditation as a healing tool is very powerful. And I think the forgiveness tool will simply give him another supportive method for healing. You'd mentioned that he's been given different kinds of drugs, which he's not using now, but he may want to do, you may look into some detox methods for detoxing from those drugs, and make sure that he's eating well and, you know, drinking good clean water as a way to start to clean his structure, to clean his physiology. You know, it's interesting it isn't very well recognized in the human realm, but for instance, in the animal realm, if you've got a dog that you want to have trained, most training schools, the first thing they'll say is you got to feed them properly. If you don't feed them properly, they can't be trained. Human minds can't function properly if we aren't eating actual food that supports and nurtures our system. So things like sugar and caffeine and nicotine, junk food, need to go in order to have a solid, healthy body-mind. There's been some interesting research done in prisons where, you know, prison violence is pretty prevalent. And one of the things that they've done is just remove sugar from the prisons and saw a drop in violence. It's monumental. I don't know what kind of schizophrenia is going on, if he's, you know, got any violent tendencies with it. That's often an accompaniment of it. But things like sugar, caffeine, nicotine, would all be things that would be helpful to probably remove from his experience if he's using any of them. You had spoken about happiness as a goal for him, or as an issue that's going on, and my best understanding is that happiness is something that comes from achieving a goal. You'll notice that when people achieve a goal, they're like, "Yay! Look at that!" You watch, the football team scores this goal. Everybody jumps up and screams and hollers, because when we have a goal and we achieve that goal, and unfortunately this applies even to negative goals, we get a hit of dopamine in the brain. And dopamine has been called or labeled as our happy powder, that when dopamine floods into the brain and hits receptor sites, that's when we get what we call happiness. We get this rush of excitement and, yay, look at this is great. Different than happiness is joy, and I'd offer that's the higher energy that one wants to go for. And joy comes from our physiology being connected to the truth of who we are as human beings, being connected to love. So love flowing through a cell is what I would define as human life. And when we have love flowing through our cellular structure, there is joy. When we achieve a goal, that adds happiness to it. But happiness tends to be a temporary and rather fleeting thing, because happiness, again, has to do with dopamine. You look at people who use drugs, and people who use drugs, they get a high. They call them their extreme state of excitement, and they call it high. Well, what's happening is the body is burning up its dopamine. The drug is forcing that dopamine to be used, and that's why when the drug wears off, people drop down into depression and pain, and that's part of what leads to the addictive cycle. Take the drug, forces the body to burn dopamine, and man, am I ever happy. But it's a drug high. If I utilize drugs to force that unrealistic happiness, then there comes a point where I've utilized all of the chemicals, so-called, that produce that happiness, and that's when depression happens and people get into trouble with drugs. So certainly by helping him keep on track with his goals, and it doesn't matter how big or how small the goal. I remember back in the early days we worked with a man who was severely schizophrenic, and one of the things was just for him to have the goal each day to brush his teeth. And over time, as he was able to comprehend and cancel the goals that were in conflict with what he wanted to create, and he became aware of how to set goals that were in harmony with who he was and his purpose, the schizophrenia was just simply eliminated. It's a condition of the mind that has a cause, and when you deal with the cause, it changes. You had mentioned the idea, Tippia, of your projections on him, and certainly notice that when he's not fulfilling goals you hold for him, that's when your projection can become negative. And that's where your work would come in, that you do your forgiveness work, that you cancel the goals you hold for him that resonate pain for you, and by doing that, you'll clean up your pain, and you'll better be able to stand as a space of love for him and for his healing. And so that would be the feedback that I have immediately. And Jeanie, are there any questions for Tippia? Tippia, do you have any thoughts? Does that make sense for you? Does that fit with what you're looking for? Or is there anything else we can support you with? Go ahead, Jean.
And
And I am sending you an email, Tipia, with links for the printout of the Dragon Klingon, and also some of the other links that Michael has mentioned today, too. She just wrote and she said she thinks his purpose is nirvana, but that's not really a full purpose. Thinks he'll be better now that the medicine's gone. But he does not work and just look after brother.
So my input would be that would be, as you describe nirvana, or you speak of nirvana, and my state of that, my understanding of that would be similar to the early thought that I spoke of our primary purpose as human beings, that we all have that as our primary purpose, to tap into, to become the human beings, to become the presence of love that we are. And that, to me, correlates to the strengthening of our spiritual body, so that even if the physical body dies, we still have conscious awareness, because we built that awareness in our spiritual selves, in our created selves, where most get focused on a physical life and physical stuff, and life becomes about get my stuff, get money, get power, what have you, get pleasure, as opposed to developing this and solidifying our awareness of ourselves as human beings. So that, I would see that as perfectly harmonious with what we've spoken of. But then on a day-to-day basis, what are the goals that he has? You said he takes care of his brothers. So what are the goals? And perhaps, I don't know the exact circumstance, but if he's a younger brother taking care of older brothers, perhaps he feels, perhaps there are some issues around, he has his own goals that he has, that he'd like to be going in some other direction. So it might be helpful to look at how and why he's taking care of older brothers, and does that conflict with the way he'd like to be living his life? And if it does, then cleaning up, forgiving, if his status is going to be taking care of the brothers for whatever reasons, then if he has goals taking in different directions, it'd be probably time to start to cancel those goals and clear that out. And or if, it's time for him to be doing whatever it is that he really wants to be doing, then it may be canceling some of the goals in relationship to your brothers. That may be part of what's creating the conflicting realities for him. And so we certainly hold a space for healing, and would ask the question, Tipia, seeing as how you're there in the chat room with us and don't have phone contact since you're in Thailand, perhaps you might just give us a quick thought or two about what you're appreciating. I know it's not I presume it's not Thanksgiving time over there. I don't know if you have a Thanksgiving celebration like we have here, but in the U.S. it's a very big holiday. It's really right up there with Christmas and New Year's. That Thanksgiving time is a time for taking time to appreciate what we have. As Jeanie just shared a list that she's created, and so we'd invite you to join us in that Thanksgiving celebration, and maybe share a little bit about what you're thankful for. I don't have much of a sense of what life is like for you there. I know you work in the business world and in government, and so maybe a little insight. Maybe there are some different things that you appreciate there with your cultural history and the culture that you live in, which is, of course, much different than ours. And so it'd be sweet to hear what's...
She said, thank you very much. I'm very thankful for your teaching. And thankful for the Aramaic forgiveness tool. And Bob is with us from Australia. We're getting people from all over.
Cool. Well, I'm thankful for the translation work that you've done and shared with us, Tipia, and the teaching that you've done of the forgiveness work. of this work in Thailand. It's really awesome to have the energy moving in that direction, and Bob there holding the space in Australia. We did a Mind Shifters and Still Point Breathing Club this weekend, and we had people from Spain and England, several different states. So it's pretty cool to be extending this energy globally. And every time that I work with someone in another country, as I'm thinking about you, Tippy, I'm imagining the literal high energy waves through which, beyond our microphones and our technology, but the actual communication that takes place between us, and the fact that those energies move through all space and time and touch everybody that's between you and I. So the impact of joining in the presence of love and doing the work of functioning as a presence of love is something that impacts the world. So thank you for your input and what you've done to help impact our world and yours as well.
She said she does contribute forgiveness to the Thai people, and there are many people getting healed.
Yay. That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, any other thoughts, Tippy? Any other specific things that we can see if we can support you with? And while Tippy, if she's writing a response, we'll certainly extend the presence of love and healing support for you, Bob, down in Australia. Delighted that you're with us and holding the space for what you've been moving through. So any other thoughts from Tippy, sweetie?
She hasn't written anything else, and she actually, it's
Okay.
really early there. She had just woke up just to listen to the show today. So it's really early for Bob, too.
I think it's 2 in the morning there. It's going on, it's I think she's 12 hours ahead of us, or 11 hours, if I remember correctly. So it's somewhere around 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. So we appreciate you getting up to join us, Tippy. Thank you.
She asked
You
a
as well,
question,
Bob.
can I just stay beside with him and not take him to see the doctor?
Well, I can't really express an opinion on what his medical condition is. If he's got medical challenges, I would definitely, support you in doing what needs to be done in terms of medical challenges. It's not something I could even form an opinion on here. I don't know what his challenges are and what your skills are to be able to support him. So I wouldn't even venture an opinion on that one, Tippy. I certainly hold the space for you to be holding the space for him and encourage him and supporting him in healing. It sounds like since he's dropped the medication, some of his symptoms have disappeared. But again, that's not something I could even venture an opinion on in any way, shape, or form.
Said okay, she understands.
All right, well.
12 minutes. Anybody on the switchboard, press 1 and share what you're grateful for.
Or a question you have. Our call-in number, if you're on one of those stations where we can't see you in our control panel, is 563-999-3581. If you call that number, you're listening to the show directly, and then if you push 1, through the magic of technology, that will raise a hand in our control panel, and Jeanie will know you want to talk to us. She'll introduce you by your area code, and if you want to remain anonymous, tell us your name is Hortense. It doesn't matter. But maybe share what you're grateful for. Maybe as a result of the conversation so far, some questions have come up for you, so ask your question. What's happening in your world? How can we support you? Where are you at in the use of your tools, of the tools? So, Miss Jeanie, anything else happening in the chat room?
She says, it is very good for Thanksgiving today for me to talk with you again.
Well, delighted to be sharing the energy with you too, Tipia. Thank you for honoring us by setting your alarm and getting up to be able to hear the show. I'm honored and blessed by it, and by the work you've been doing there with these tools. It's really fabulous.
That she's thankful from her heart.
Our hearts join you, young lady, and your brother, and your whole family, your older brothers, just extending love in your direction and appreciation. So, Miss Jeanie, do we have anybody else in the phone queue or anything happening in the chat room?
No, it is all quiet. We've got 9 minutes. Press 1. We are thankful for everybody who has joined us on this Thanksgiving Day and taken time out of your day to participate.
Something else that comes up for me that I'm really appreciative of is the fact that there's a ceasefire in this conflict in the Middle East between these brothers and sisters who've been in conflict for thousands of years. We certainly hold the space for healing in that regard, that this old family feud, Jeanie, I forget the name of the film, Jeanie will probably remember it, but back several months ago we watched a film about a gentleman, true story, a gentleman who had a fight with his brother, and it had been 50 years since they communicated, and he found out that his brother was, critically ill, and he was at such an age that, he didn't even remember what they'd fought about 50 years earlier, and he could no longer drive. He didn't have a car, and he had no driver's license. But he had a lawnmower, a riding lawnmower, and he actually fixed the riding lawnmower up and drove from, I forget where it was, Wisconsin, Michigan, somewhere out here, to California. Literally rode his lawnmower all the way. And the movie is about his journey, and what he went through in doing this. And, I invite everybody who's perhaps got someone that once was a friend or a family member that there's been conflict with, that this might be a good time to focus on and do some meditation on what the things are that before the conflict occurred were appreciated. Because chances are that conflict will mean nothing in the end, as with this gentleman. I mean, literally, I don't know what age he was. He was somewhere.
It was called The Straight Story.
The Straight Story, yeah. I mean,
because his last name was Straight, and I was just bringing it up.
I forget
a 5-hour car
he
drive
rode a
took him 6 weeks, and he was 73
6 weeks on a lawnmower, 73, yeah. And he didn't have any remembrance of what the conflict was about. So what if you were to just forgive the conflict with anyone and everyone you've ever had conflict with, and step into appreciation? Whether you choose to communicate, maybe it's somebody who abused you, doesn't mean you have to go jump back in and take more abuse. It might be just that you heal the wounds in you from the abuse and stand in a space of remembrance of who they are, who you are, and what you perhaps once appreciated about them, and can bring back into awareness again as a process for your healing. Again, engaging in forgiveness doesn't mean I need to go back to an abuser, doesn't mean I need to get back into a relationship, doesn't mean I need to communicate at all. It just means I go for the inside job of cleaning up the thought disorders that I hold from painful experiences. And as I free myself from those things, I can be restored to a joy that otherwise is seemingly unavailable. And oftentimes people will say things like, well, but how could I ever? Well, here's how you can. How can I ever overcome that? Here's how you can. There's a whole set of tools here. Go to your app store on your phone, type in the words Heartland, one word, Heartland, Aramaic, Aramaic, forgiveness. There you'll find the world's only forgiveness app. You can start to apply forgiveness. And forgiveness doesn't have anything to do with them. You may or may not choose to pardon someone who's committed some sort of an atrocity in your life, but this isn't about doing that. I know the world calls this pardoning game forgiveness, and it's not forgiveness. It's pardoning. So if you choose to pardon someone, or you choose not to pardon someone, that's your business. It's irrelevant to forgiveness. The forgiveness tool is the way that you begin to address those painful realities in your own mind and drop into the root of those energies, which are oftentimes genetic, which oftentimes were inherited from our ancestors. And as we go in and clean those things up, we can free ourselves from the pain that seems to have come from a trauma that happened to us, yesterday, last month, 10 years ago, 50 years ago. We can remove those energetic patterns, drop into the healing of the dynamics in the mind that have been going on generation after generation after generation. One of the big challenges with healing is most everybody, when they're in pain, has thought disorders that puts their pain into their brain's image of others. And the truth is, short of cancel the thought, someone punching you in the nose or something like that, nobody can hurt you. But if someone with a look or a word can resonate your hurt, you can do one of two things with that. You can recognize that, wow, when you gave me that look that I perceived as hateful, that brought up a lot of pain for me. Now I'm communicating responsibly about my pain. And what I want to do is I want to access and heal my pain, rather than having it lay there inside of me as an energy that literally on an energetic level invites person after person after person to come in and quote unquote hurt me. That is, show me my hurt. So if you say, well, I'm angry with someone, well, I don't believe you. I don't believe you've ever been angry with anyone ever in your life. If you've been angry in your life, it's because you have anger. That's all. Anger is something that people possess and own. And sadly, in many cases, the anger possesses them. But it's not caused by anything outside of you. It's caused by the fact that you hold pain, and your desire not to experience that pain leads to generating the chemistry, quote-unquote chemistry of anger, that is an anesthetic. Anger is not an emotion. Anger is an anesthetic. It's a drug. It's no different than alcohol. And when people let go of their anger, they get to start to drop into their pain. And when you drop into your pain, aware of who you are as a human being, aware of yourself as love, then you get to start to forgive your pain. And that doesn't mean you start to let your pain off the hook. That means you literally start to reach into your own mind, into your own emotions, into your own physiology, and you literally remove those energetic patterns that, when they resonate, reflect in your awareness as pain. Our offering is, it's time for the world to be finished with pain and trauma. It's time for each of us to take responsibility and move through our pain and trauma and be restored to the truth of who we are. And guess who you are? You are literally the reflection, the offspring, and the creation of love. That's it. I don't care what you've done. That's who you are. Now, of course, if you come and do it to me, I might have some different realities, and that will be my opportunity to learn forgiveness. As each of us steps into that process, gratitude becomes a much, much more natural state. So joining you in gratitude and forgiveness in functioning as the presence of love and inviting you to have the best year yet of your eternal life. It's an absolutely awesome gift to give the world.